Welcome in. Here's what we're going to be covering today. Hunter Biden's so-called sugar brother, the Hollywood lawyer who has literally spent millions of dollars helping the president's son, had told GOP House leaders that he was out of the country until after the new year. Yet, he was spotted in front of the Capitol during Hunter Biden's news conference just last week. There's some more questions there. A Democrat senator staffer who allegedly posted a video of himself having sex with another man in a Senate hearing room has been fired, while the mainstream media is accusing conservative media for blowing the lid off of this latest Democrat scandal. U.S. Customs and Border Protection will suspend operations at the International Railway crossing bridges in 2 Texas cities along with southern border in response to the recent resurgence of smuggling organizations using freight trains to move illegals through Mexico and into the U.S. And a Texas woman was quite surprised with what she found hiding in her Christmas tree. Stick around. You're going to want to hear this one. Welcome and glad to have you in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Hunter Biden's financial and personal ties to the Hollywood mega attorney Kevin Morris, who is accused of lending him millions of dollars to pay off back taxes, remain in the GOP House leadership's crosshairs, with GOP leaders saying that they have questions for him and want him to appear before them in Washington. Missouri Representative Jason Smith told Fox News' Maria Bartiromo yesterday that they would love to ask Mr. Morris a few questions.
So I want to go back to this picture here, and I want you to confirm who this person is. We are told that Kevin Morris spent millions of dollars to try to help Hunter, paying back his taxes and helping him live this lavish lifestyle. Did you, in fact, ask Kevin Morris to come talk with you, and what took place?
That's exactly right. That's Kevin Morris. It's pictured alongside Hunter Biden. He's an individual that came up repeatedly amongst the IRS whistleblowers that came before our committee of an individual that we need to bring forward and ask questions to. We've been working with Kevin Morris's attorney to bring him in, but they told us that he is out of the country on vacation between Thanksgiving and New Year's. However, it sure doesn't look like he's out of the country. And what's so important for us to get to the details there is the IRS whistleblowers have highlighted where Kevin Morris paid almost $2 million of Hunter Biden's taxes, plus an additional almost $3 million just to subsidize Hunter Biden's lifestyle. What's also important is these IRS whistleblowers released an email from Kevin Morris to Hunter Biden's tax preparer 3 weeks before Super Tuesday in 2020 saying that they must pay these tax returns or there will be great political risk. The only political risk is Joe Biden. And that's exactly why the IRS whistleblowers wanted to look into campaign finance crimes into Joe Biden's campaign. But the Justice Department has refused to do that.
Now, money that Morris lent to Hunter Biden is in part the subject of a years-long Justice Department investigation into possible tax evasion and other potential crimes. Separately, reports indicate that he funded Hunter's lifestyle by flying him to Arkansas, for example. Remember when Hunter was, the court demanded that he appear in person under some of the child support hearings that he had? Well, Hunter Biden was able to make it to Arkansas on Mr. Morris's private jet. And he also had been helping Hunter allegedly with rent and other living expenses. Now, why would a complete stranger, because it's been reported that Mr. Morris only met Hunter Biden just prior to the 2020 election, just prior to, as you heard Representative Smith say, that the IRS was looking at some potential wrongdoing. Someone in the Justice Department shut it down, though, because they did not want these types of questions coming up just prior to the 2020 election and potentially exposing Joe Biden's crimes back then. Morris, commonly referred to as Hunter Biden's sugar brother, needs to be brought in for questioning so the story can be set straight, according to Representative Smith. But getting him there is challenging. He was quoted as saying, he's an individual that came up repeatedly among the IRS whistleblowers that came before our committee of an individual that we need to bring forward and ask questions to. Bartiromo marveled at the amazing nature of Hunter's press conference, telling Representative Smith it's amazing that he could go defy a congressional subpoena, set up shop right in front of the steps at the Capitol, do a press conference with the guy who's helped pay all this stuff out, and then walk away. That's it. We're not getting your deposition. And it is quite amazing, isn't it? Talk about just thumbing your nose at a congressional authority. Smith said that House Republicans absolutely intend to follow up with Mr. Morris to get him in for questioning. By the way, Senator Lindsey Graham, yesterday on Meet the Press, says he's more interested in solving the Middle East crisis and really hasn't been paying attention to the Joe Biden impeachment inquiry.
Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa said that he does not see any evidence, quote, that the president is guilty of anything. Do you agree with him? Is there any evidence so far?
You know, I haven't really been paying that much attention to it. They have to prove that President Biden somehow financially benefited from the business enterprises of Hunter Biden. We'll see.
Have they done it yet, in your mind?
If there were a smoking gun, I think we'd be talking about it. But, you know, the narrative that Hunter Biden presented is falling apart. The idea that Joe Biden knew nothing about the business dealing is falling apart. I'm not worried about impeaching the president right now. You know what I'm worried about? Helping the president bring the Mideast to a better spot, trying to convince the Arabs and the Israelis to not let Iran get you off track, give Israel the space to destroy Hamas. I'm trying to find a way forward to secure a broken border before we're attacked. That's what I'm more worried about than anything. I've never been more worried about attacking on our homeland than I am right now. And there's an opportunity in the Mideast, in the middle of all this carnage, rape, murder, torture, heartbreaking visuals. There's a chance to change things. That's what I'm working on.
Senator Lindsey Graham, again yesterday on Meet the Press. I get the senator's concerns in the Middle East. We all share those concerns. But I also have a concern about what's going on in the White House and the Joe Biden crime family. That's up there, right up there with the Middle East as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's kind of hard to imagine how the mainstream media can blame the video of a Democrat Senate staffer having gay sex in a Capitol hearing room, how that's the fault of conservative news outlet. But that's exactly what the mainstream media is trying to do. For example, NBC News came under fire on social media over what many were calling their ridiculous headline that seemed to fault conservative news outlets for reporting that a Democrat Senate staffer filmed a gay sex video in a Capitol Hill hearing room. Now, by now, I'm sure you're familiar with this story. It went crazy over the weekend. The report came from the Daily Caller initially, published an amateur pornographic video Friday that showed an alleged congressional staffer engaging in sex with another man in the Hart Senate office building, room 216 to be specific. According to the Daily Caller, the video was leaked after being shared in a private group for gay men in politics. Posts on social media claimed that the alleged staffer worked for Senator Ben Cardin. He's a Democrat from Maryland. Hours after the story broke, Senator Cardin's office announced that a legislative aide had been dismissed but did not explicitly link the staffer or his dismissal to the sex tape. The identities of the men in the extremely graphic video up until that point had not been confirmed. They were over the weekend, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Senate staffer alleged by conservative outlets to have had sex in a hearing room is no longer employed, the NBC headline read. The headline's emphasis on the conservative outlets angered many on social media for making the Daily Caller the center of the story. Trump's 2020 campaign communications director, Tim Murtaugh, said NBC's framing of this is outrageous and belongs in the Media Bias Hall of Fame. A Dem senator staffer videotaped himself having sex in the Senate committee room, shared it online with others, and got fired when it became public, but NBC cast conservatives as the bad guy, Murtaugh said. South Carolina Republican Representative Ralph Norman joked, "Right, those pesky conservative news outlets are the real problem here." U.S. Ambassador, former U.S. Ambassador to Germany, Richard Grinnell, wrote, "It's conservative news outlets' fault, huh? Ridiculous headline, NBC News is working for the Democrats." Political comedian Tim Young agreed. So it was the conservative outlet's fault that guy filmed gay sex in a Senate hearing room. NBC News is run by clowns, he said. Conservative account Amused explained conservatives didn't video him. He did and posted it online. Daily Signal columnist Tony Kinnett remarked, "I didn't know his own social media was a conservative news outlet." Conservative writer Charles Cook summarized, "The media cannot escape this formulation. It is constitutionally incapable of seeing what it does or why." In a blog post, Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley, an attorney and professor at George Washington University, discussed possible charges that could be brought. Turley said one possible charge could fall under the D.C. Code Section 22-1312, which discusses lewd, indecent, or obscene acts. He went on to say the Capitol Police could argue that this constitutes purloining or using government property for personal purposes. I'd say that's pretty personal, isn't it? He wrote, "The key factor is the fact that this videotape was made with the apparent intent to publish or show others. Sex in congressional offices by both members and staff have long been known to occur on Capitol Hill. Yet this was a public hearing room, albeit closed at the time, and a tape made for what appears public viewing," he said. When asked about the video, U.S. Capitol Police told media outlets, "We are aware and looking into this." Is there even a question of how this story would have been treated if this had been a Republican Senate staffer? I would argue that the senator would probably be under attack and that the Democrats would be asking the senator to resign also, wouldn't you? Not that I'm saying that that's the appropriate response, but I would bet you that would be the response had this young man worked for any Republican U.S. Senator. By the way, the man involved, he's been identified as Aiden Mace Serpowski. He appeared in a 2020 campaign video with President Joe Biden. He has expressed regret for the recorded tryst, if you want to call it that. Again, took place in an area, they say, where Senators Amy Klobuchar and Chris Coons sat during a recent markup. Mace Serpowski wrote on LinkedIn, "While some of my actions in the past have shown poor judgment, I love my job and would never disrespect my workplace," he said. "Any attempts to characterize my actions otherwise are fabricated, and I will be exploring what legal options are available to me in these matters." Now, how could you argue that you would never disrespect your place of work, yet you videotape yourself having sex with another man and saying that these actions were fabricated and that he's going to explore legal options? What could he possibly be talking about as far as legal options other than staying out of jail himself? But he insinuates that he's going to sue somebody because he lost his job and he's been embarrassed. Crazy. And that's the world that we are living in. Moving on. U.S. Customs and Border Protection say they'll suspend operations at international railway crossing bridges in 2 Texas cities along the southern border in response to the recent resurgence of smuggling organizations using freight trains and some of the many images and videos that we have seen in recent weeks of trains coming across the border loaded down with illegals. In a statement released yesterday, CBP officials said that beginning at 8 a.m. today, Monday, December the 18th, the agency's Office of Field Operations will suspend operations at the international railway crossing bridges in Eagle Pass and in El Paso, Texas, in order to redirect personnel to assist U.S. Border Patrol with taking migrants into custody. Their statement said CBP is continuing to surge all available resources to safely process migrants in response to increased levels of migrant encounters at the southwest border, fueled by smugglers peddling disinformation to prey on vulnerable individuals, the statement read. It went on to say, after observing a recent resurgence of smuggling organizations moving migrants through Mexico via freight trains, CBP is taking additional actions to surge personnel and address this concerning development, including in partnership with Mexican authorities. The move comes literally just days after thousands of migrants were seen on video lined up along railroad tracks as a freight train passed nearly 3 hours south of Eagle Pass, Texas. Border patrols have been overwhelmed as they deal with unprecedented numbers, which last Tuesday topped 10,000 encounters in a single day. 10,000 people in a single day. And Joe Biden would still lead you to think, and Secretary Mayorkas, that our border is secure and that there's not a border crisis. And where has the vice president been recently? Has she even mentioned the border crisis recently? The week prior, there were reportedly 12,000 illegal encounters on a single day, breaking daily records and still at levels overwhelming the agents in the field. CBP said that it plans to adjust its operational plans to maximize enforcement efforts against any non-citizen of the U.S. who attempts to use illegal pathways or processes to get into the country, as well as those who remain in the U.S. without a legal basis. Well, you're going to have to prove that one to me. I hope that you do, but I'm going to need to see that flow of illegals stopped. The Biden administration continues to take heat, as they should, over the border crisis. Republicans and a few Democrats, as well as state and local officials who claim that the president has not provided the resources needed to secure our border. In its defense, the administration said that it's dealing with a hemisphere-wide crisis and has requested more funding and comprehensive immigration from Congress. They're blaming the U.S. GOP-led U.S. House as the problem, saying that they need to fix what is broken. Well, it's real simple. You close the border first. Then you worry about how you might change the processes. But you first close the border and you let people know that the border is closed. The Biden administration has requested an additional $14 billion in emergency supplemental funding from Congress. Again, this money they don't intend to use to stop people from coming in. They intend to hire more people to process them. And another couple of billion would be used for shelter and services for the illegals released by DHS custody. So the Biden administration not only wants to process them faster, but they also need more housing and more places to serve them, rather than sending them on that train in the opposite direction back across the border. The funding has been stalled in Congress, yes, by Republican lawmakers who are demanding greater restrictions on asylum and humanitarian parole, a call with which the Democrats have totally rebuffed. The White House has reportedly expressed openness to some restrictions, including a Title 42-style removal authority and expanded detention, but it's unclear whether that would be backed by Democrats in the U.S. Senate. A video of a Texas woman has gone viral after finding an uninvited guest hiding in her Christmas tree. Have you heard this story? The video has been watched over 6 million times. Portions of the day brought to you by PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. Let's talk emotional eating, because we're in Christmas week here. A lot of people love Christmas, love the holiday. For some, it can be a dark time as well, not so joyous. And they use food to help them get through it. And look, I understand this. I'm a chocoholic. I admit it. I love chocolate. But I've learned not to use it as a crutch to deal with stress. and things that maybe aren't going exactly right in my life at that time. I've changed my relationship with chocolate. I did it over 3 years ago when I first met Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team at PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. You can do it too. This is a great time to get started so that 2024 can be the year that you got healthy, that you lost that excess weight, and that you're back on track. Let me encourage you to make that call. Go ahead and set up the meeting, 864-252-4925. Set up that first consultation so that you can learn how this can have a very positive impact on your life. You can lose that weight once and for all. If you go ahead and call today, 864-252-4925, set up that appointment, get started. Within just a few weeks, you too can be talking about losing 10, 20, 30 pounds or more. Let me encourage you to set up that appointment. Find them online at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. So a Texas woman has gone viral after capturing the moment that she found an uninvited guest hiding in her Christmas tree. Brett Ingram is her name. She's 29 years old. She's a media marketing manager based in Dallas, Texas. She told Fox News that she was finishing up some work at home when she heard a soft sneeze. She said, I kept working thinking that maybe I was just hearing things. Then I heard it again with some other squeaking noises. At first, she thought maybe her cat had brought in a rat or something in the house. She said after looking under her couches and behind curtains, she finally found the source of the mysterious noise. She said, as I got down looking under my couch, I looked to my left, and there was a long, naked, rat-looking tail hanging out of my tree. She said, I stopped and kind of looked up and saw a large breathing ball of gray fur. Ingram made her way around the front of the tree, located the culprit. It was an opossum. And the images are just crazy of this opossum hiding in this Christmas tree. She said that she reached out to a friend who's a wildlife and rehab volunteer because she didn't quite know how to what she should do. It was too late for them to come, so they gave her some advice on how to remove the opossum from her home safely. She was concerned that she would potentially hurt the animal and did not want to do that. She's an animal lover. She said that her friend told her that she'd just be able to pull the opossum from the tree, but it became a little bit more challenging than that because the opossum would not turn loose of the tree, she said. Eventually, she was able to get it done. She was wearing gloves for her safety and was able to pull the opossum out of the tree and release it back outside. The opossum, she said, was showing its teeth, but that was about it. Did not try to attempt to bite her. She said she was able to calm the animal down before setting it outside her door and releasing it. She explained that she is an animal lover, has many pets, dogs, 2 pythons, a bearded dragon, and a cat. She documented this the moment she found the opossum and shared it on TikTok. The video has been watched roughly 6.6 million times as of last night when I last checked. She said she believes the animal may have been inside her home for at least a couple of days. Now, here's some interesting things. I've always thought that possums were short for opossum. But I learned in this that while possums and opossums are called marsupials, is that I'm not quite sure if I'm pronouncing that right. They're actually 2 different animals. Opossums were reportedly discovered in Virginia in the 17th century by John Smith and are the only marsupials, and again, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, found in North America. The opossum, with an O, is sometimes shortened to possum in North America, but it says, according to pest control experts, they actually are not synonymous. Possums were first discovered in Australia in the 1700s. Unlike opossums, they have furry tails, which is how they get the name brush-tailed possums and are found primarily throughout Australia. So I learned something new there. Did you know there was a difference between possums and opossums? I thought they were all the same thing. Your comments are welcome on the Truth text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Have you found something odd in your Christmas tree that maybe shouldn't be there? You know, there was another report over the weekend of a couple finding an owl in their tree as well. Love to get your comments. 864-477-5639 is the Truth text line. You can leave a voice message as well, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Truth text line, Faith wrote, "Oh, Joey, have you seen the article where nutty scientists are saying breathing is bad for the environment? When and where is this going to end?" Thank you for sending me the link to that article, Faye. I had not seen it, but I'm not quite sure what scientists are expecting us to do. Hold our breath. It was great to hear from Dom in Illinois. Dom wrote on the Truth text line, "Hey, Joey, as an Illinois legal gun owner and a legal gun user, I think Pritzker's," this is the governor of Illinois, "his Protect Illinois Communities Act violates the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. But Illinois is a state run by and for Democrats, thanks to Chicago," he says. "The Congress and courts in Illinois are all Democrat, which leaves the Constitution in the dirt. Still listening to you every morning. Be well, Joey. See you on Facebook." Thank you, Dom. Dom has been a long-time listener. I appreciate that, Dom. Always good to hear from you. Ace writes, "Merrick Garland will ignore it. The leftists have a way of being blind when hearing facts. Whether it's on purpose or ignorance doesn't really matter. It seems that the left get away with all their illegal activities. Prayer is the only answer." You're true with that, Ace. On another Joey note, he says, "I do track my child. They live under my care. I'll do whatever it takes to protect him. Have a blessed day, Joey. You are the man." Well, thank you, Ace. And Ace is talking about a couple of stories there, one of which was, I asked you last week, there was a story of a parent tracking their child with a tracking device, and that's how the mom caught this child having sex with his high school teacher. And my question to you was, do you track your kids? And do you think that's a right that parents have? Your comments are still welcome on that. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Our positive, encouraging text of the day: "We all die. The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will." God bless. Thank you. That is true, isn't it? Because we all know that we come into this world. We have a short period of time on this earth. We want to make our mark, knowing that someday we're going to be gone. And what we leave behind is very important. Thank you for that. Great email from Katrina in Welford. She said, "Just checking in to let you know that we love the podcast. I'm a substitute teaching now, and so I have to listen piecemeal, but I listen." Well, you know, that's the advantage of the podcast, Katrina. You can stop it and start it whenever you want to. She says, "Your topics are terrific. I find myself talking back to you and then scribbling notes that hopefully I won't lose on any paper handy to give you some feedback when time allows. Today's the day," she wrote. "I won't bore you with every thought. Here are a few that tweaked me." Katrina went on to offer her thoughts on Airbnb regulations that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Governor Sununu's recent endorsement of Nikki Haley, the Boston mayor having a party without inviting white people. Yes, if you missed it, go back and listen to some of last week's episodes. And Katrina wrote, "Ron and I are thrilled that you'll be in Iowa and New Hampshire. We look forward to your reports. If you were still on each day in Greenville, it would be hard to travel about in 2024. I truly believe this will be an exciting year for you." That very good point, Katrina. Gallagher and I talked about that over the weekend. If I were still, even though I do miss the morning answer, if I were still doing that every day, I would not be able to travel and cover some of the primaries. Katrina wrote, "One more suggestion. The Christmas house in Inman this week, we went to visit. It might be something to mention for locals to visit if they or you have not already. It was fabulous. I've attached some photos, and thank you for those photos, Katrina, of drone shots that were posted on their Facebook account. The Christmas house in Inman is at 350 Foster Road, and it is beautiful if you have not seen that. 864-477-JOEY. Your comments are welcome as well. So Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley called out ABC News' Jonathan Karl for having a, quote, obsession with former President Donald Trump following a question about Trump's campaign theme. Portions of today's show brought to you by Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Are you tired of buying appliances from inexperienced sales staffers? People who have nothing, know absolutely nothing about appliances? Well, that's why I always buy my appliances from Discounted Appliance Warehouse. All you have to do is check out the 11,000 square feet with typically 1,500 or so appliances ready for you to buy right then. Quite often, you can buy it and have it delivered the same day. They're just great to deal with. They treat you like family. They have an award-winning service department and expert installation, extended warranties. They've got you covered well beyond the sale. And they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with up to a 7-year warranty on parts and labor. Find them online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. So Nikki Haley appeared in an exclusive interview alongside New Hampshire Republican Governor Chris Sununu on ABC's This Week to discuss her plans to gain voters' confidence in New Hampshire. And yes, I will be in New Hampshire in January to cover that, be in Iowa as well. Following a question from Carl regarding President Trump's running on retribution, Haley pushed back, stating that the media's obsession with the former president has become exhausting, she said. Carl pushed back again, though, with Ms. Haley, stating that he asked the question because Trump is the leading candidate that she's running against. Governor Sununu quickly jumped in. He, too, focusing on Trump's talking points, claiming that the former president doesn't talk about the issues. He promised that he would have to own those failures, saying that Haley also continued to note that if Carl wanted to talk about Trump, then he should ask him about getting on a debate stage in Iowa or New Hampshire. Here's the exchange.
That's who I am.
I mean, he's running on retribution. He wants to go out and he talks about annihilating his enemies and using the criminal justice system to do so. What do you think of that?
You guys are exhausting. You're exhausting in your obsession with him. The thing is, the normal people aren't obsessed with Trump like you guys are. The normal people care about the fact that they can't afford things. They feel like their freedoms are being taken away. They think government's too big. I know y'all want to talk about every single word he says and every single tweet he does. That's exactly why we need a new generational leader. Because people don't want to hear about every word a person says or every tweet. They want to know how you fought for them that day. And they want to know how their life is going to be different. And life would be a whole lot different if the media would stop this obsession with Trump.
I mean, I was just asking you about his central campaign theme, which is, I am your retribution. And he's winning in the polls. That's why I'm asking.
Well, if I could, I'm asking
about the leading candidate that you're
He does
running
everything he can not to talk about issues.
Yeah.
He almost acts like he wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to talk about building the wall and securing the southern border because he didn't do it. He doesn't want to talk about fiscal responsibility because he made a hard promise that he would do it in that debate. I'm going to be the most fiscally responsible president this country's ever seen, he said. He
balanced the budget.
Yeah. Didn't even try to balance the budget. And, the thing that for someone in New Hampshire where, it's not about big government, we loved the idea that he was going to drain the swamp. That was an amazing opportunity. Didn't even try. I mean, literally didn't even try. So if he talks about those issues, he has to kind of own those failures. So he's always going to talk about retribution and just kind of try to spur something up.
And if you want to talk about Trump, if you really want to talk about Trump, why don't you go ask him if he's going to get on a debate stage in Iowa, where Iowa's voting? Why don't you go ask him if he's going to get on a debate stage in New Hampshire, where Granite Staters are voting? That's what you should be asking as the media, not asking about what he happened to say.
Governor Nikki Haley and New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu. As you know, Sununu endorsed Ms. Haley for the 2024 primary candidate back last week, December the 12th, during a New Hampshire town hall, praising her efforts within the state. The former South Carolina governor has been gaining in the New Hampshire polls. She currently sits at about 29% in second place, about 15 points behind Trump, according to the latest CBS News poll. We will continue to be interested in how that shakes out. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the red button that says Connect with Joey so that you can receive our emails with the most up-to-date news. Thanks for spending a few minutes of your time with me today. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep the comments coming via the Truth text line, 864-477-JOEY. Keep your emails coming as well, joey@joeyhudson.com. We're back again tomorrow. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.